welcome everybody. Always start these meetings with an acknowledgement and a recognition that we are on the traditional lands of the first people of Washington, who inhabited this lands for thousands of years before the first Europeans arrived. And we'd like to honor those peoples past and present with gratitude to the tribes and to the land itself. So welcome everybody. I'm psyched about this. So
Who we got? You are a robot, Burl.
Now? Did I crash out or something? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, now.
Okay. Sorry, I'm operating off a hotspot off my phone. We're still working out some of the issues of doing this thing in person, but hopefully this will work out. So we did do our summit this weekend, this past weekend. It was super successful. We had some great panels. We had some great speakers. I learned some stuff. It was great to see people out in person, and it was wonderful to have that community again with the cannabis industry. So I want to thank all the folks that came out, thank all the volunteers for their hard work in putting everything together. Jill and Caitlin and Jason in particular for all of the background work that went on for months and months in advance to make such a successful event. And then all of the speakers and contributors and sponsors in particular for helping us pull it all off. I think it was a very successful event. Caitlin has managed to render all of the video from the summit and has now posted all of that to our YouTube channel. So we've got our keynote speakers and all of our individual panels that have been uploaded to our YouTube channel. Please like and follow. That's going to be really important. So if you can, all of you that are able to do so, there was some great panels, some great talks, some great information. So please go on our YouTube channel, follow the Cannabis Alliance YouTube channel, and like those videos in particular. That makes a big difference to us. It actually helps us get to monetization in our channel and bring some of those funds back into the Alliance to help us continue our good work and pushing through some of the agendas that we have for this year. And we do have some ambitious agendas. So lots of really interesting and cool stuff going on that we can talk to you about today. In particular, we wanted to give an update. So we actually opened up our board elections at the summit, and those were ongoing for a week or so. Voting has concluded in the board elections, and so we're able to announce the results to you here today. There were 5 spots on our board of directors that were up for election this round, and I'm actually going to turn it over to Jill, who compiled all of the results. And if you'd like to let us know who are the winners, who's our new 2022-2023 board members.
Yeah, so first I wanted to say thank you to all of our board nominees. Everybody submitted some information, and a bunch of people came out and gave little speeches at the summit, and we really, really appreciate that. And I want to say thank you just again to everybody that participated, all of the members that came in and voted. We did have a good number of people participate, so thank you. And I am happy to announce that our newest members of the board are AC Braddock, Caitlin Ryan, Sean Danae Wagenseller, Keith Boyce, and Brian Mathis. So congratulations to our folks, and I look forward to working with you over the next couple of years.
Nice. Big virtual clapping without upsetting the sound system. That's awesome. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you in particular for those board members that are willing to volunteer and put in some hard work to forward the causes of all of us. In particular, two new board members coming on board, Sean Dene from Washington Bud Company and Brian Mathis. Congratulations to you guys. I was psyched to get to spend a little more time with both of you at the summit, and look forward to getting to know both of you better and welcoming you on board. So thank you very much. Also, thank you to outgoing board members. I know Trey Reckling, I don't think is on board right now, but had some stuff going on in his regular world in business that required less of his time being spent with the Alliance. He's going to continue to be an awesome member and somebody that we lean on for his immense cannabis knowledge and information. So thanks, Trey, for your service to the board and as an outgoing member. That's awesome. So yeah, I'm excited about that. So next board meeting will be in 2 weeks. We'll get all of that information out to you guys and get you signed up for our next board meeting. And we're looking forward to welcoming you on board. Well done. So with the legislative update, just to let all of you know, we are working still on our grassroots campaign to reach out to local legislators to form those relationships, to be active in their campaigns, to create those alliances prior to the election, which is coming up very quickly, and then ultimately work with those legislators to help pass our agenda this year, which is ongoing. So we do have a fundraiser upcoming in for District 42 for Sharon Shoemake. That's going to be at Otherlands Brewery in Bellingham on October 27th. So I'd like to welcome all of you out there. We will be getting more information out, and so we'd like to welcome anybody that is, from the Whatcom County area that can come into that, and then anybody from outside as well that wants to come in. That is a particularly tight race. Sharon is an ally and an advocate for our cannabis agenda. It's really important that she get elected. She's sponsoring some of the bills that we have upcoming in the next legislative session. And so we want to do everything that we can do to promote her candidacy and to get her elected. And so I personally am going to be out doing some more doorbelling for her. And this fundraiser is going to be really important, and especially important to get lots of members of the cannabis community out to speak with Sharon and let her know the support that we have. And then additionally, it's important to get all of us out to vote on election day. This election is going to be as critical as any we've ever had in the past, and it's going to be really important on a national level and a state level and a local level. And so I want to encourage everybody to get out and vote. That's critical. Get your staff out and vote, get your friends out and vote, get your grandmother out and vote, whatever it takes. There's going to be lots of opportunities for volunteers with various campaigns locally to help coordinate getting people out to the polls. So if you haven't already, please consider volunteering for your local legislator to help them get the vote out, get the word out, bang on some doors, talk to some people, let people know about the critical issues that are out there, because this election in particular, like I said, is going to be as critical as any that we've had. And certainly lots of stuff on our agenda is going to be threatened if we can't get legislators that are willing to commit to support common sense cannabis legislation. So some of the bills that we have out there that we are supporting this legislative agenda, individual bills are for home grow, to cut the excise tax for patients, arrest protection for patients, and then also we are again going to try to pass our cannabis commission bill, which is an agricultural commission to help normalize cannabis like any other agricultural commission in apples or hops or any other major agricultural crop. This will also dedicate dollars towards research, which is critical, so that we can do some real research on cannabis issues that need to be done. One of the issues that we're facing as well, and this was made clear by Representative Kloba at our summit, that there will be another high potency extract ban that will be promoted again this year. There was an ADAI, alcohol drug addictions group that held a big seminar, also available on our website if you want to take a look at that. They are trying to link, without good scientific evidence, that high potency extracts either cause early onset psychosis or lead to more psychotic incidents in people. The science that they're pointing to is bad, but nevertheless, they're going to try yet again with more force to get a bill passed this year banning or capping high potency extracts. It's a bad idea from a whole bunch of different reasons. And so it's something that we're going to be very aggressively working against. And so something that I want everybody to be aware of, and it is definitely coming. It's coming again. So we're working on debunking that science and doing everything that we can to stop that bill from going through, as we have in past years. But they've got more energy and more momentum that they've had in past years, and it's looking like something could possibly pass this year, making it more critical than ever to get out the word and get out the notice, because of course banning high potency extracts is going to have a catastrophic effect on the industry and not necessarily achieve anything at all, from a science perspective. Looks like Greg's put up the ADAI symposium on the chat as well. So there's a link in the chat if anybody wants to link through to that. It's interesting. It's about 8 hours worth of information. For me, one of the most interesting things was the ADAI starts from a position of cannabis is harmful. Now, what can we do from a policy perspective to reduce that harm? So they're, assuming their hypothesis, and it's a little bit frustrating to watch it all, frankly. But it's important that we realize where the challenges to our cannabis industry are coming from, and that we're able to address those challenges upfront and in advance. So kind of wanted everybody to be aware of that as well. Webinar Wednesday. Caitlin, do you want to comment on Webinar Wednesday?
Sure. We've been playing the summit panels and speakers on Webinar Wednesday, and you can expect that for a little bit. We had a little bit of a technical challenge with our Q4 report from Headset. So we are going to be rescheduling that upcoming. So look for that once we have that back on the calendar. And then the first Wednesday in November is going to be the Thanksgiving episode of Cooking with Mary White. And we've got a fun idea. So look for some ideas if you want to maybe participate in that particular webinar, which is going to be really fun. And of course, you can always go back on YouTube. You got the link there, and check out any of our past ones. In fact, at the summit, an old one from a year and a half ago came up. We've got a great one on Delta 8. And so always feel free to check out the library and what we've had past ones about.
Excellent. Thank you. So also our 502.0 initiative is going forward. We've grouped together all of the various cannabis trade groups, and we are working on creating an omnibus bill to try to create some reform to the legislation and regulations around cannabis right now, to try to level the playing field, and also to provide some relief to some of the some of the companies that I know are out there struggling right now. That's ongoing. We're working on it, and we'll give more information and updates on that as we continue to have some stuff to report on that. Yeah. And so regulatory update. Gregory, do you want to kind of give us a breakdown where we're at right now on things that are going on in our regulatory community?
Sure, I'd be happy to. And it's good to see everybody, and just want to take a moment to just celebrate the fact of the summit, because it was such a powerful and encouraging event. It was so nice to see everybody in person, and to be able to have that kind of in-person connection. So just thank you to the Alliance for organizing all of that, all the people who put in all of the hard efforts and work. And yeah, just thank you. This month is going to be a little more impromptu, which maybe is a good change up for things, just because it's been a very busy week for me. In fact, I just came from the Washington Impaired Driving Advisory Council meeting, where I found out this morning that LCB's Director of Policy and External Affairs was providing an update to that very interesting body about their agency request legislation. So we're going to wing it, and I think that may even just be a nice mix-up. So mainly it'll focus on the LCB the LCB rules that are in progress, and we can start with social equity, since the CR 103 was adopted yesterday. So the final rules are final, and will be effective in about a month. And there were not particularly allegedly substantive changes to those rules in between the proposal, the CR 102, and the final rules. And I think that one of the key important takeaways is that this doesn't mean that the retail application window is going to open in a month. It means that the agency now still has to take some steps to operationalize and prepare for that new retail application window. Policy and Rules Manager Kathy Hoffman said that they now don't anticipate that window will open until 2023. So, it's just continually been pushed back. We've seen that coming for a while. My understanding is that we're still sitting at 40 licenses that have either been forfeited, canceled, or returned, many of which are in ban and moratoria areas. I'd have to go back and look at the final rules to see if they actually incorporated any portability of those licenses outside of those ban jurisdictions, but they're certainly going for that in their request legislation on social equity next year, to make any additional licenses in general portable. So we'll see. I think actually now I'm recalling that they were saying that you don't have to actually declare the jurisdiction that you want to apply for, and that it may be then portable after you do that selection. So, but again, like I need to go back and refer to the final rules in that case. So kind of while we're in that vicinity, and we focused on this during our update this morning, which I'll paste in here, our summary of the meeting. Just yesterday, there was a pretty controversial, I think is probably a good way to put it, report that was released into an investigation of Representative Melanie Morgan, who was alleged of bullying conduct and retaliation during her time as the co-chair of the Social Equity and Cannabis Task Force. And so the Associated Press actually published the document, the report itself, as well as that appeal that was immediately or a couple of days later filed by on behalf of Representative Morgan. And so we've done our best to kind of summarize that, based on the information that we became aware of yesterday morning, and kind of describe the outlines of what we understand of that process of complaints being filed with the chief clerk of the House of Representatives, them going ahead and then instigating a third-party investigation to corroborate or disprove those claims. The investigation came back and strongly corroborated those claims after interviewing 7 different people who were connected with the complainants, and Representative Morgan twice, 2 different interviews. And it's that's a big deal for that to be publicly released weeks now before the elections occur. Representative Morgan is on the House Commerce and Gaming Committee. She's the chair of the Black Caucus in the House of Representatives, and she's challenged by a Republican in Tacoma for that seat. So much to come around all this piece. Yeah, it's yet to be determined what the outcome of all that will be. So yeah, take a look at our summary. The report and the appeal are linked in there, and we've done our best to kind of reconstruct things and distill that 21-page report into some takeaways. Happy to talk more about that piece, and I know Lucas Barfield also has been digging into that as well. So the other rulemaking projects that are active over at the LCB right now include one on Canopy. There was a different format pre-CR 101, kind of, they're referring to it as a World Cafe format of discussion groups that was organized around the subject of Canopy and around 3 questions that were posed to participants. They had about 90 people participate, supposedly, which was more than they expected. And John asked about the report link that's in look in the summary that we had there. And we linked to the AP article too, if you want to go direct to that. So I attended the Canopy World Cafe, and it was an interesting format. You get into small groups to discuss these 3 different questions, and the people who are comfortable speaking up will speak up, and the different LCB staff had varying degrees of familiarity. I think our new board member, Ms. Wagenseller, was in a group that was facilitated by an LCB staffer that really didn't know anything about cannabis or Canopy. So I think that was probably a challenge in that circumstance to get your ideas bubbled up to the group itself. The whole group would come back together and talk about the facilitators would then kind of summarize what was discussed in the group. So I think that there were a lot of good discussions and points that were brought up to the LCB staffers that need to be the ones who hear about the complexities around Canopy, about the complexities around the different growing methods and different kinds of cultivars and expected yields and that sort of thing. One issue that I've brought up before in this context is that the discussion was very narrowly prescribed to seeing if we can come up with a different measurement for plant canopy. And so that's not inclusive of questions about other ways that cannabinoids are coming into the system, either through CBD import from outside of 502 or synthesis practices, which allegedly are banned. It depends on who you talk to as far as whether they feel like that's happening or not. And even direct import of intoxicating cannabinoids from outside of 502. version, I guess, or upcoming ways of producing cannabinoids through biosynthesis or things like that. So, you know, we do need to come to some agreement, I guess, about traditional plant growing and production, and having a means for the agency to apparently need to control production in that manner. And so this is the venue for that, and that conversation's going on. My understanding is that LCB staff are planning another World Cafe event in a month and a half, most likely, to follow up on maybe some additional questions or clarifications. So there'll be another opportunity coming up even before they actually compose draft rules or proposed rules in FCR 102. So we'll see how that one goes. The other active rulemaking project right now is advertising. And this one is on hold, I think, because Kathy Hoffman's team has lost two of their policy and rule coordinators, Audrey Vasek, who focused on alcohol, and Robert Despain, who originally focused on alcohol, but then was brought over to cannabis, have both left the agency in the last month and a half, or last month. And that leaves us with Jeff Kildall as the only policy and rules coordinator that they have right now. They've had open job positions for 2 regulatory analysts for months now, and just brought down the are no longer advertising that role as of the 10th of this month. So maybe they have some people that they're making offers to. It's not clear, but it's going to take a while for those people to ramp up no matter what. So this was one of the projects that then is on hold. And it's going to be delayed at least 6 to 8 weeks. So they're having internal discussions, not really sure that we have any visibility into that. Previously, we've had indications that they wanted this to focus on social media. But pretty much the entire chapter is open. And so I definitely encourage folks to bring up other issues around advertising if you have them. And that might be a good segue maybe for Mr. Kingsbury. Do you want to take a moment to talk about your new rulemaking petition pertaining to the subject of retailers using scanner ID or scanners at the door to verify age, which is, great, but then also some retailers using that information for marketing purposes.
So what I discovered on questioning is often you go into a store and they'll scan the code on the back of your license, and which I don't have a problem with insofar as identifying age and all that. I think that's probably good practice. But what I discovered is that often that information is going directly into a database that they're using for marketing. I have called and talked to a Department of Licensing to see what information it can be culled out of that. That includes home addresses, it includes driver's license numbers. So it's some pretty specific information. In one case, I was able to secure the vendor who was selling that software, and the agreement with that the store signs with the licensees is that information could go to data brokers. What I was discovering when I went into these stores is that they were giving no clue of what they were doing. So there was no consent involved. So my rulemaking petition basically says that taking that information off the license and retaining it for marketing information should require prior affirmative consent from the person whose license they're scanning. That's basically all it says. And a little bit of signage. and that they should have some privacy information near the location of scanning. So that would be what the privacy practices of the vendor, what their privacy practices are. It's not, as Bailey or Gregory correctly noted in the Observer, the petition was not against scanning the ID for ID purposes. It was for any marketing practices or anything not related to just identifying the age and the person. Is that a good summary, Gregory?
Yeah, that's great. And I appreciate you bringing that subject to the awareness of more people, that practice is going on. I mean, I don't know to what extent it is, but I know that at least software providers like Cova have that built into their system to be able to do that. So, and that's problematic for a lot of reasons. Cannabis is still federally prohibited. And so having that kind of rather certain information about individuals, and, you know, regardless of the information that you can pull from the driver's license, it's going to be combined with other information to get more certainty. So anyways, I think it's interesting, and we'll see how the agency responds to that request for rulemaking on that advertising subject. Let's see. We also heard here recently that there was a rulemaking petition filed by the Washington Cannabis Business Association regarding cannabis product samples. So this is vendor educational and one other kind of samples that can be provided. And Hoffman indicated that they do plan to actually open a CR 101 on that next month. Not sure who's going to take that on, but that is one of the first of that batch of rulemaking petitions that should see the light of a CR 101. I am going to just sort of cut it short here compared to my usual droning on and on about stuff, but you know, in addition to the Washington Impaired Driving Advisory Council, I've been doing outreach to the Washington Traffic Safety Commission staff, trying to find out more about the capabilities of the Washington State Patrol toxicology labs. And that's a really complicated piece, but have been making some progress, making some connections there. You know, we're doing what we can to stay on top of things, and happy to answer any questions that folks have. John, if I could ask you again, maybe to talk about kind of what you think is on the horizon for the Department of Health, opening up their rulemaking around compliant cannabis products.
Okay, so 24670 is the WAC that controls DOH compliant product. That's medical cannabis as they defined it in 2016. I put in a petition to remake the logos, and the reason I did it very narrowly was, I won't explain that. The logos don't basically relate any useful information. And so I put in that petition, and they came back and said, we're going to open up the whole chapter. And so what that might include is quality assurance standards. And so that's, I'm not sure what the date is. Maybe Gregory remembered what the statutory date is that they have to do that. They've indicated they're going to open up that whole chapter. We're going to have a meeting at 3 o'clock on that in the patient caucus. If you go into the Google group, there's a time there. What I would really like is for some producers and processors to participate. If we're going to open up the whole chapter, one goal, not the only goal, but one goal is to see if there are changes that can be made to make that producing that product more less onerous for producers. For instance, there's a passage in there that says you get one testing pass, and if it fails, the whole lot gets destroyed. I think that's sort of a deterrent to producers participating. So I think they said, what, November 6th or something, they will they will issue a CR 101. Don't quote me on that. But I think we need to jump the gun a little and get whatever our proposals in. I think it's good to spoon feed them a little bit on language, and I intend to do that. But that's got to be a group effort. So I really, really hope people will participate in that. It is very difficult to find compliant product in the system, and I think it matters because in my surveys, patients say a lot of the reason for not participating in the 502 market is they cannot find the products they need. And that money, those people should be able to go into 502 stores and buy what they need. And a lot of patients don't feel like they can. And the other thing that frightens me a little bit is I think they could do some rulemaking that could run over our excise tax project. I don't think they necessarily know what they're doing over at Department of Health in the patient realm, and I won't go into a long explanation, but I think we need to make sure that they don't do rulemaking that threatens any excise tax exemption prospects. Laura and Caitlin, I know, have been working the last 2 years on that. That project's been going for 4 years. It seems like it'll never end. But I think that's super critical that we do this right. So that's what it is. It's the whole chapter of WAC 24670. Somebody probably threw that in there, and you can look at that. It's not actually a very long chapter, but more than anything, it's testing standards for medically compliant product.
And to pivot from there to another thing that the Department of Health is involved in, that we've been tracking, the Washington Hemp and Food Task Force continues to do actually quite a bit of work in a surprisingly short amount of time with some really talented people, actually, mainly from the hemp space. And it should be probably more properly called hemp cannabinoids in food, mainly focused on CBD, but also focused on whatever is going to be suggested as this sort of dividing line between 502 and everything else. And so this gets around that subject of what is impairing or intoxicating, which didn't go anywhere during the last legislative session in the LCB request legislation. And instead, in the competing bill, this idea of a Class A and Class B cannabinoids was introduced and is still being pursued within the context of this task force. And I've kind of come around to that naming scheme, at least, just from the standpoint that it's not stigmatizing. And I like the fact that they have taken that approach, which is not something that I felt before. But everybody is pretty much on board with this structure and function distinction that gets pretty technical from a chemist perspective. And they're going to be putting forward that idea. And I think one shift that has been discernible is that there is really none of the participants seem to have any interest in actually having sales of intoxicating cannabinoids outside of 502, whatever that term is. That wasn't quite so clear to me during this last legislative session. And I think there has been some sort of coming to the middle a little bit more from the hemp side. And I want to be clear here, because I've been hearing this more and more. Just like 502 is complex and there are lots of different actors within the space, many with great intentions, some with less honorable practices. I think in the hemp space, you also see that kind of complexity. And so I see a lot of referencing of the hemp industry, like Justin Nordhorn did it today to the White Act committee, talked about this entire hemp industry is going to be pissed about their legislation. It's like, well, you know, that's not what I'm seeing in practice. And I think that's important, again, to sort of avoid the divisiveness that's created by this arbitrary federal designation of hemp distinguishing the cannabis plant, right? Like that divide and conquer strategy has worked really too well. And I would like to encourage all of us in the cannabis space to build those bridges with the hemp community, because hemp's fucking amazing. And I've had the privilege to speak more frankly with Professor David Gang at the Washington State University, who's in charge of the Center for Cannabis Policy and Research and Outreach over there. And he is involved with some amazing stuff that's happening from the national level down with regards to hemp. And I still firmly believe that Eastern Washington farmers, if they embrace the once in civilization opportunity that we have reintroducing cannabis to our society, that Eastern Washington farmers could really thrive with where hemp is headed in the long run. So anyways, there's that piece. And one last note, Monday next week, the Senate Labor, Commerce, and Tribal Affairs Committee is hosting a work session on retail theft. And as I think everybody here has seen, the reports of robberies have declined. I still see one every now and then. And we haven't seen the agenda quite yet for that meeting to confirm whether cannabis is going to be included in that discussion. However, I have reached out to the Attorney General's office that has a retail theft task force, and cannabis was included in that discussion. And so presumably the Attorney General's office is going to be asked to come and talk about this. So we're going to stay tracking that one. And then just one last piece on the legislative side, found out yesterday that LCB has been asked to come present to Commerce and Gaming at a work session in early December on the subject of enforcement around D8 and where stuff is headed with that particular legislation. So it's going to be, again, another very interesting legislative session coming up. Stuff is already ramping up in that direction. And thank you to the Alliance and all of the work that is done for by our advocates to speak some rationality and sense into things. And speaking of irrationality, please do take a look at Representative Lauren Davis's speech at the UW-ADAI, in which she referred to the entire industry as predatory, speaking of generalizations, and a failed experiment. So if you know anyone in District 1, which is her district, please forward this video to them and encourage them to share it with all of their friends, because she is up for election. And Jesse Solomon also spoke after that with her, who also is in District 1 and who co-sponsored her high potency THC bill in the Senate, who's also up for election. So that's what I got today. Thank you all for doing everything that you do. And all right.
Excellent. Thank you, Gregory. Thank you for everything that you do. The Cannabis Observer is a really important part of this industry. Gregory is often and his team are the eyes and ears that we have into what's going on in our legislative and regulatory environments, and sometimes those ancillary environments, like you described, the drunk driving task force and things like that. So if you do not already support the Cannabis Observer, please consider, I think there's a link to your website there. Please consider donating money. We need to have this as an ongoing part of our conversation in the state of Washington, and we would be flying blind without Gregory and his team being present and recording these meetings for us, and also providing us active information about what's happening. Without you, we would not be able to attend all of these events and have all of this information. So thank you very much again for the labor of love that I know that you go through to make sure that we have all this information and we get this information highlighted so it's not happening in the background without anybody really knowing what's going on. Thank you, sir. So we wanted to do a brief kind of run over some of our committees with some of our committee heads. John, I know that you've already given kind of a lot of information about the patient committee, but any additional blurbs you care to blurb about what's going on in the patient committee? 3 o'clock today. I think the link's on the website for anybody that wants to join in. I'll try to hop in on that today myself as well.
Okay, yeah, I will try to blurb shortly. Let me reiterate, though, what Burl said, that the Observer is an indispensable tool. I remember sitting in LCB meetings in 2015. There's no way we could possibly cover all those things. I use the Observer as a research tool all of the time, and I cannot imagine doing what I do anymore without that as a resource. So I just want to reiterate what Burl said about the Observer being an absolute indispensable tool. And it's also very democratizing in terms of activism because it brings resources to us. You know, we can't all spend all week or hire lobbyists to cover everything. So just to reiterate that. I talked about the rulemaking meeting at 3 o'clock for WAC 24670, which is compliant product. I talked about the rulemaking petition over scanning cards. I do want to say 2 things quickly about that. Federal courts have been very clear that if you are a cannabis patient or consumer, that likely affects your gun rights. And also, I am concerned about harvesting of that information, identifying patients as patients. If you'd like to talk to me about that, that's fine. So what else do we have? I also want to, as a tangent, I want to again bring up the prevention community efforts. I think this will affect patients. About 1.5 years ago, Gregory cued me in that this was a growing force. I think prevention and substance abuse prevention are really important things. I have friends that deal with substance abuse issues. I think they need to be a part of the conversation. I fear they're becoming a vastly disproportionate part of the conversation. And some of the substance abuse advocates are not rational. I do worry what that means for patients that will get this thing again where you can get the high potency concentrates if you're a patient if you join the registry. That sort of thing that's just not workable. Which brings me to another issue I want to at least introduce to this group, which is I have been auditing the list of stores holding medical endorsements. More than half of the stores on this list, this has been a very time-consuming project, deny to me being medically endorsed stores. That list has apparently nothing to do with reality. And the numbers are falling low enough that I am deeply concerned about those few patients who want to join the registry. Rather, we're going to hit a point here where they cannot comply with the law. And I want to plant a seed here. There is a part in the law now that says to be a medical cannabis consultant, you need to be working in a store. I noticed that there are quote unquote consultants who are not working in stores, and I wonder if they're maybe part of the solution. But Blood and Blossom are doing some good, really excellent things. Skagit Organics is doing some extra things. And I wonder if part of the solution here is to strike out that part of the law and provide some help for people who don't necessarily want to ally themselves with stores, because I live in great fear that we're going to hit a point here where patients who want to protect themselves by joining the registry will not be able to, because there'll be no stores left to do that. So if anybody in that realm would like to work with me on that, that would have to be a legislative fix. I would encourage you to contact me. So anyway, I don't blame stores that don't want to hold endorsements. I think that's a business decision. And stores should make that choice for themselves. But I want to bring that up because I think we're going to hit a critical point here with the registry and with patient protections. Home grow is not strictly a patient initiative, but I think it affects patients. And I want to at least mention that home grow legislation is in talks. It looks roughly right now like something like the last bill with some social equity elements, not exactly, but I would really value anybody that wants to give input to contact me. And, I think it's not for me, it's for everybody. So I would welcome any input. The arrest protection bill, I don't remember if that was mentioned or not, will likely come back next year. Just for those who don't know, the arrest protection bill is basically says that if a patient is showing no signs of violating the law, then they can't be arrested, which seems like a pretty common sense idea. Many people are shocked to learn that that is not the law now. A common practice is patients show their ID to the law enforcement officer. They show their gardens, match their plant counts on their authorization. And police sometimes say, well, I don't know if that authorization is real, or I don't know what the law is, and I'll rip your garden down and I'll arrest you or give you a notice to appear and we'll sort it out later. And I think that is a very cruel way to treat people who are already struggling with whatever their chronic illness is. It's amazing. Legislators are often amazed that that's not the law. So that bill will likely come back. I think it has excellent prospects for passing. We got stuck in Senate rules twice, but that was the end of the line. So both times it was 5 yards from the finish line. That bill will likely come back. Let's see, home grow. I think that's all I got.
Excellent. Thanks, John. Yeah, it's super important. And I absolutely appreciate that. Yeah, we definitely have some work to do for patients in this state. And I really appreciate the work that you do, the digging in, the rulemaking requests, the time that you spend on the phone, auditing and calling through and gathering real information. It really makes a difference in the work that we're doing. So thank you very much for all your hard work. Kim, did you want to talk about outreach?
Yeah, thank you, Brill. Hi, Kim Ducote, membership with the Cannabis Alliance and co-chair of the Education and Outreach Committee. So the Education and Outreach Committee meets monthly, the second Wednesdays of every month at 10:30 to noon. And we work on issues just like this, helping with normalization, helping to go out into the community and educate, staffing Cannabis Alliance tables and events. So we always need help with that. So if you're ever interested in being a volunteer, I'll put my email in the chat and you can let me know, or you can reach out to Jill as well. And so the Education Outreach Committee met yesterday, and our next big adventure is we're going on a tour of Washington Bud Company in November. Still working on our date, but I will put that event in the we'll get that posted up on the website when we have a secure date, but we're very excited about that. So, and Washington Bud Company, of course, is a producer, and Sean Dene is newly elected on the board today. So very excited about that. So these events are super fun, great opportunity to network and meet other people and learn all about how the process works at a producer. So really excited about that. Again, I'm going to put my email in the chat if you'd like to join our committee or any of our volunteer efforts to do education and normalization in the state of Washington and beyond. Let me know. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. Jessica, did you have anything?
Yes, hello everyone. Jessica Pichardo. I'm one of the board members here at the Alliance and co-chair of our Equity and Justice Committee. It's great to see everyone today. Equity and Justice Committee is meeting currently once monthly for an hour. So please, I'll drop my email in the chat if you're interested in joining us. Our next meeting will be October 31st at 3 o'clock, so 3 to 4 p.m. and we'd love to see you. We also are shooting to have a mixer this month on the 23rd from 3 to 5. And we would love for folks to come out and connect with community, learn what we've been doing at the E&J committee, and talk about our goals for the rest of the year. So in September, we had a multi-hour working session with a few members to discuss our goals for the year and Q1 of 2023. And that included education, advocacy, partnership, and social goals. So we are hoping to cast an even wider net of our work and our presence in 2023. And we'd love to get some folks engaged and joining us in the conversation. So I'll drop some information in the chat, my email. I welcome any sort of connections with any of you. And we would love to see our members join us for these get-togethers. So thank you for the time, Brill. I appreciate it.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your hard work, and thank you, Kim, too, for all the hard work that you do in both membership and in outreach, setting up some amazing tours. They've been super successful. And so, yeah, keep up the good work. Are there other committee folks that I'm not sure? Anybody else have any updates from their committee? So it sounds like Jason said with waste, he's going to have some updates next month, but he's working hard on recycling programs, and we're also working on cannabis waste programs to see if we can try to rewrite and reform some of those to cut our footprint, both carbon and otherwise. So lots of good work happening on that end, and we'll have more updates on that next month. Okay, so I know we're running a little bit long, and we've had lots of good information today. I know we've got some spotlight. Kim, we've got some member spotlights.
Before we do that, Brill, can I just add
Okay,
something
yeah.
real quick?
Sure.
The committee for the Cannabis Cafe, just a recap from the summit. If anybody wants to chat about that, we submitted that in September of 2019 and haven't really met since. So if there's new members, people that want to chat about it, hit me up and let me know. I'll put my email in the chat, and then we can have an informal committee meeting.
Excellent. Yeah, I'd be interested in participating in that for sure. Thanks, John, or Josh, sorry. Yeah. So Kim, sorry.
Great, no worries, absolutely. All right, it's member spotlight time. And as a reminder, these are our members. Let's support each other when you're out in the community. If you have a need of any kind, check you can go to the membership tab on our website and just toggle down to members of the Alliance and find a member that might be able to support you. And if you are in need of a certain service, you can always reach out to me and let me know, and I can look in our database and see if we can have anybody to support you. So today we have 2 member spotlights, and the first one is Ryan Takahashi with United Western Green. There you are, Ryan. You're on mute. There you go. Thank you.
So hello, my name is Ryan Takahashi, and I'm with United Western Green. And I just joined the Cannabis Alliance because I know that you guys have been doing a lot of great work for all of us in the industry, indoor growers, outdoor growers. And I'm not sure if Crystal Oliver was part of this group before, but I've done a lot of work with her in the past when Unicorn was doing a lot of the Delta 8 conversion stuff and crashing the biomass market and distillate market and stuff like that. And so I wanted to support you guys and basically say thank you for everything that you guys do. What my company does right now is that we try to find an outlet for people with an abundance of biomass left over from 2020, 2021, and obviously this upcoming year, even though canopies were cut short. But we know that there's been a lot of distillate and concentrates and flour being imported from Oklahoma, California, Oregon, and stuff like that. And it's just basically causing an even bigger glut in our industry right now. And so I know that a lot of people have that glut of product just kind of wasting away in the fields. And so we brought in nearly $1 million worth of equipment to help convert biomass into distillate or crude or RSO, just to give outdoor growers another avenue to sell their products. We've been working with a lot of great farms right now, some very big ones, and that have multiple tier 3s, and we've worked with people that have tier 1s, and they've been very thankful for our services. And so I just wanted to let everybody know that we are here and we'll work with you on prices and everything like that, to kind of compete with the low prices of distillate out there in Washington, due to California and Oregon and Mexico importing into our state right now. You guys are all welcome to reach out to me. Like he said that I'm from United Western Green, but our DBA is High Noon, Pure, and Dab Sticks for our retail outlets. But for business to business, we go by United Western Green. And yeah, I've done a lot of networking in the past 5 years while being in this industry. I've met a lot of good people, and I've of course met a lot of bad people too. But I enjoy working with the honest farmers out there and the honest processors, and trying to figure out ways of how to network and work together instead of all being lone wolves and trying to tackle the retail market, which is has been like lowballing everybody, to say it in a way. I know like a lot of stores are becoming huge chain stores like Zips, and they want us to sell them products that are under what it costs us to produce and to process, and it's just getting ridiculous out there. So I just want to throw it out there that we're here to help you guys, convert products into distillate or BHO, RSO, and crude at a super low price, to kind of, and we're not even trying to make a buck here. We're just trying to help everybody out that's in the industry that's struggling right now. And I know there's a lot of people, I get phone calls every day about people like asking what we should do and stuff like that. And I was like, we're all in the same boat together right now. And it's hard. It's super hard. And I'm seeing lots and lots of friends drop this year and last year. And it's kind of heartbreaking because we've all put our heart and soul into this business. We've got outside money to help us get started, and now it seems like everything's just crashing. And so I don't know what the future holds for 502. And but yeah, just know that we're here to help anybody. We're pretty much just operating at our costs, just to help everybody in the industry find a different solution on how to sell their products that aren't selling. Pretty much the biomass market seems like it's at a complete standstill, and people are reaching out wanting to buy their crops for 1 cent, 2 cents, 3 cents a gram, and that doesn't work for anybody. None of us are farmers, whether you're indoor or outdoor. And I know that some of the ways that we can help each other is to network and kind of create an alliance like you guys have done, and I'm super thankful for that. I want to just say thank you for letting us join, and we're here to support you and support all the outdoor farmers that are struggling.
Excellent.
you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Would you like to put your email, or would you like me to put your email address in the chat in case anybody would like to get a hold with you?
Yeah, I'll throw my email address in there and my
Great.
phone number, and you guys can reach out anytime that you want.
Great. That'd be great. Thank you so much. Great to hear from you.
Thank you.
Okay. Our second member spotlight today is Holistic Evaluations, and we have Gwen Bartle with us today.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, okay, hi, I'm Misty. I'm the office manager for public evaluations. We are a doctor's office. We've been open for about 11 years and we do medical cannabis authorizations for patients. So Gwen's been running for this whole time. She's been the owner and you know, we're just. She's sitting here listening. She's sitting here listening. She is here with me. But yeah, we've just recently joined the Cannabis Alliance. Gwen's known about it for years. And she's, you know, finally just kind of just decided to join and.
Well, I've been an advocate for a long time with
Yeah.
the governor's office.
Yeah, Gwen's been an advocate for many years and we're really excited about seeing, you know, the excise tax hopefully move forward next year for medical patients. So yeah, I'm really excited. I've been in the industry since like last November, so I'm still just a baby, but I'm excited to be a part of all the alliance and the networking, and I'm learning so much every time. Every time I meet with you guys, I just learn more and more and more, and I just love how involved you guys are with the community. So it's very informative for myself, but yeah.
Where are you guys located, Misty?
We are in Kent. Our physical office is in Kent.
Great.
Do you,
Yeah,
do,
we
do you
get,
do online evaluations?
We are moving forward with remote evaluations for patients who can't get to us to see us in office. So we have recently been talking very much about how these other companies are coming in and doing online remote visits.
Maybe they know if they have to have a
Physical
office space.
location.
Yeah.
So one of the questions we've been trying to get an answer to is if any of these big companies like Veriheel or Green Health Docs that are coming in and doing online verifications and authorizations for patients need to have a physical, you know, location in the state of Washington. I learned that Green Health Docs does not have one. I don't know about Veriheel directly, but that's some of the information we're trying to learn too with this, is trying to keep up and in line with some of what's going on. So
And I don't know if
Alright.
anybody knows the answer to that question.
Oh.
I do not, but that's something that we can definitely look into.
Dawn messaged to have a license in Washington State, but do they have a physical storefront?
it's
Oh,
my
it-
understanding that the first appointment has to be in person. And so that would be, you know, something to consider if you didn't have a location. That's what I've always
Yeah.
been told. And that's my understanding from working with some of our members that,
So that's what we've been understanding as well. And then when we contact the Department of Health, they did send over an RCW that says in-person or remote physical examination. So it seems to be that that's what these other companies are navigating through. It's there in the RCW, so.
I still think they need an office space.
And Lucas is saying that they do need a physical location. We don't have a confirmation on that outside of Lucas, but John said that he'd be willing to do some research on that. So
Thanks, John. Thank
we
you.
can,
That
we can certainly update everybody.
would be
Yeah.
amazing.
Awesome, you guys. Thank you for the work that you do. As everybody knows, unfortunately, when they codified the Initiative 502 into law, they did their best to break the medical industry in this state. And somebody told me that we went from 500 plus medical dispensaries in the city of Seattle down to 350 or whatever it is for the entire state. So with our, John Kingsbury mentioned a great statistic to me the other day too, that we legalized at the same time as Colorado. They have less of a population. They have 80,000 patients on their registry and we have about 11,000 patients on ours. There's only 4 producer processors that are rated to produce medical quality products. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult. John said that of the 246 listed dispensaries that are supposed to be able to put patients on the registry, only about 80 are actually able to do so. So the medical system in this state is in jeopardy. It is something that's of large concern to support and protect. And we need all of you to join with us. We have to act as a unified community to protect our patients, to recognize that that's where we came from and that patients still are the critical component to a vibrant, vital cannabis industry and taking care of people. So that's something we want to continue to actively do. And thank you guys at Holistic Evaluations for everything that you do and your support, and those producer processors. I know Skagit Organics, Trailblazing, Fairwinds, and I think Polite are the only brands that are actively certified to produce medical cannabis. So thank all of you for going through the extra effort to make those products, to take care of our medical community. And we will continue to do everything that we can to support the medical community and push medical causes in the legislature and otherwise. So thank you very much for the work that you do. Appreciate it.
So I put their website in the chat. So be sure and support them if you know anybody that needs a recommendation. We're super excited to have them as members. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Welcome aboard. Great. Does anybody else have anything else that we need to talk about today? Anything for the good of the cause?
I think Eric Boone had something.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm here wearing my HempFest hat, actually dialing in from Lisbon, Portugal right now. So it's a bit evening time behind me. The Space Needle is, in fact, not live. So I am overseas, but I'm happy to announce that at the end of this month, HempFest is going to be in its first internationally branded event. That's one of the functions that I'm serving in my relocation over here as a member of the board of Seattle HempFest. I've been tasked with sort of scaling our licensing model overseas. And our first show is going to be taking place in the Azores, in the Portuguese archipelago, little Hawaii, Portuguese Hawaii, in October 29th and 30th. Just going to be a small show, not 250,000 people at the waterfront, but we're really psyched to finally be spreading our wings internationally. And we're also anticipating having a real show like a big show in Lisbon in May of next year. So stay tuned. And just a reminder that the last couple of years has been, pretty severe for HempFest, not being able to have our live event in the park. We are clamoring to get back. We're anticipating having our traditional event in 2023. Applications are already being submitted, so we're really gearing to be back in the park for 2023. And I just want to remind everyone, I'm a little bit newer to Washington State, but HempFest has a 30-year history of moving the ball forward in cannabis in Washington State, and from that standpoint, nationally and globally. We are a 501c3 now. So anyone who wants to pay it back for the torch carrying that HempFest has done for the last 30 years, we've got a number of sponsorship opportunities and events in our lead up back to the park. And I'm going to turn the mic over to Jill so that she can go into a little bit more detail on that.
So HempFest is having a, what do they call it? A Boonefit for Seattle HempFest. It's going to be descending upon the Rec Room in Linwood. We hope to get to see everybody and bring your best costume out. There's going to be some costume contest awards, raffles, giveaways throughout the night. It's also going to be a benefit, like a food drive. So bring a can of food or two for entry, and it's going to be on the 23rd the 22nd from 5 to 11 p.m. Sorry about that, guys. So please come and check it out.
Yeah, drink some water, don't choke. I know Jill's just been getting better. She's out of the sick bed to come and join us today. So thanks very much, Jill, for
Apologize, friends.
making the effort. Please don't choke.
Speaking of him, or speaking of MJ BizCon, if there's anybody that's going to be at MJ BizCon who has a booth,
I gotta get to Sunshine to do a thing.
I'm going to be interviewing 16 people for the Talking Hedge. So I'm looking for a spot like 2 by 3 feet where I can put up a tripod and interview folks. So if you have a booth and that's an interest to you, I can bring 16 executives, some CEOs and publicly traded companies and whatnot to that booth. So should be some good exposure for you. And if you're interested, hit me up, josh@thetalkinghedge.com. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks, Josh. And we will be at MJ BizCon and we're gonna hold a mixer on Tuesday night. So we'll get more information out to everybody on what that is, but hopefully everybody can join us and that will be a super fun event as usual. Caitlin, did you have anything to add?
I do. Sorry, I've got you guys on the road now. But yeah, so Tuesday night, which is Associations Day, if you're doing pre-conference stuff, it is a speakeasy. We'll be at Caesar's Palace starting at 10 p.m. So when you come into town, go ahead and grab some dinner and then come swing by. You can go ahead and RSVP right now to the email ad address, and we'll be able to provide the room number the day before. And hope to see y'all there. It's always a good time.
And that's email@thecannabisalliance.us.
You got it.
Yeah. Excellent. Lucas, you had something?
Yeah, real quick. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of food drives, and really good on HempFest for doing that. I have a nonprofit, Advocates for Medical Cannabis. We've been doing a food drive called the Hemp for Hunger Food Drive since 2015. This year, I'm putting a little extra effort into it and trying to spread it a little bit further besides right here in my local community here in Tacoma. And I'm going to put our online event page here in the chat here in a second. But basically, there's 3 ways you can join us. One is just during the month of November, find a food bank near your house and donate to it as much as you can. I'm going to be donating weekly and also to local mutual aid groups during November food that I collect from my family and friends. And then the second way you can join is to gift to our virtual food drive. I'm really trying to make this sort of plug and play, what everybody can do, just trying to get it to everybody that you can donate and do as much as you can. So the virtual food drive is on our event page. I had a goal of $840. I just thought below $1,000 was a little low. So I kind of went high this year with $1,420 as our virtual food drive goal. We've already raised $120 and looking for some more donations. Thank you to Heather and Rebecca for donating. And so that is on the event page. And then the last thing you can do for all you overachievers out there, and I know there's really some here on the call today, is if you have a cannabis business or dispensary, you can actually host a food drive at your business. So like if you have a grow, you can tell your employees like, hey, bring in food this week and we're going to donate it to the Hemp for Hunger food drive or just a food bank in your local community. So everything is on our event page and how you can get involved, and you can just donate 1 can of food or donate to our virtual food drive. Every little bit is going to help. The need out there is crazy. Tacoma just passed a camping ban. They're doing this all over the state. Working families are having trouble feeding themselves. So I really feel like this is a really great way for the cannabis community to get involved and help solve this problem. And just take a look at the event. And thanks so much, Cannabis Alliance. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Lucas. Yeah, you can maybe post that information in the chat there so people can link through to it. It's a really important cause. One of the causes that I've always supported personally and with my companies. It's people are suffering from inflation, in a position to be hungry and living in security as well. So through this season, and that sounds like an excellent way to be able to pull food banks as well. They need particularly need help and food and support and dollars and volunteers during the holiday season as they're feeding lots and lots of people. So thank you very much. Anybody else have anything for the good of the cause? Awesome. Well, want to thank everybody. I know we ran a little bit long today, tons of great information. Want to thank the new members, want to thank the new board members, want to thank all of the volunteers who make this possible. And I appreciate all of you. Much love and respect going out to the entire community. Thanks very much. If we work together, we can get this done. It seems like a huge task, but I know that we can pull through. So thank you, everybody, for the work that you do. And we'll see you next month. Yay. Cheers.
Thank you.